Okay, on this one, I think he's going to try butcher knife and try not to cut the horns or the ears, because the cutter is not going to work on this one either. And these are going to be big bars. I mean, I can trim them down some, but it's not going to be enough to really. And there it is. And that too smears to swirl, and I'll have to straighten the bar, but just do what you can do, baby. And I will try to straighten the bars up and do the rest of the piping on them. I hate having to use a knife or a scraper, but sometimes you have no. And you can't see the pretty swirl very good. But I'm going to have to work on these, and I'll probably video them because I've got to do a little bit of piping on them. So, a little bit more piping to these. Well, see, if we was wiping the knife, it wouldn't smear it, but it's too much trouble. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of trouble, a lot more work. The more work goes into a bar of soap. If you make soap, you know how that kind of adds to it. Well, here's the bar, there's the horn, and the ears. And what I'll do is I'll have to kind of straighten those just a little bit. And the horns and the ears, like I said, are made out of soap dough. Here's this one, the back of it. Here is the front. And these are giant bars, so you just add a little bit more onto them for the big bars, but that's very pretty. You can see the swirl a little better in that one. And then here's the last one. This is more the size you want, honestly. And I'll bring you back once I get ready to fool with them some more. Thought I would show you the bubbles. And it's got good bubbles, and that's just off my hands. You can see. Okay, I went ahead and done one just to see how it's going to turn out. And here's the back. You can see how the mane goes down the back. Here is the front. And then of course I have to put the eyes. So that's something I'll have to do. And I did squirt just a little bit of 91% alcohol on there as to get it to hold. Not a whole lot, because if you squirt too much, then your piping will all run off. So I kind of do the squirt blanc technique. I wanted to go with the smaller pipette piping tip, but I couldn't do so because of my piping hardened up a lot quicker than was expected. So I had to go with a lot larger than me or my daughter had wanted me to have to do. But that's okay. And I'm just kind of going down the back a little bit, if you can see. No particular way. No rhyme, no reason for how I'm doing it. But if you can see, there's the back. Here's the front. And I still have to put my eyes. So, I'm just going to find somewhere to set these. And I will let them harden up a little bit. I've got my pieces here, if you can see. Squirt this one. Like I said, I'm squirting, then I'm blotting, because if you don't, all of your piping, that fresh piping will run off. It'll just kind of roll down it. So, you want the alcohol, but not an extreme amount. Okay, got my piping here. Yeah, my piping really set up rather quick. I decided I was going to watch a video of that two of our soapers in the group had made that I didn't know they had made, and it was really neat, and I got so into that, and before you know it, my piping was all set up. If you can see, that's going to be the front. I wanted to go with a smaller piping tip, but it got so thick that it would not come out the smaller piping tip, so I just kind of went with the larger one, which I like the big ones anyhow, but there we go. Looks more like a tail, but that's the main. And there's the front. The next one up here. Yeah, I didn't get to my soap as quick as I should have to get it. Look, not quite so thick. It was a little bit too thick. So, I think they'll still look alright though. We'll hope so anyhow. And I will have to squirt these with some more 91% alcohol too. I'm just going to try going straight down like that with that one. I'm going to go ahead and give these a good squirt. So maybe, just maybe, I won't have any soda ash, but I'm not sure. Whoop, see what? Okay. I had it slide off of that one. I'm not going to be able to spray these, and I guess until they dry. And then it probably won't work, so I'm probably going to end up having to get soda ash off. But, oh well. They'll be alright. I ain't worried about it too bad. There's his mane from the back, and here is from the front. Okay, we've got one more here. And I'm going to squeeze a little bit of alcohol on top. Go on the front, but then I will be wiping, like I told you. I'm just blunting it. I've got a clean, dry cloth over here that I am blunting my alcohol with, because too much I'm going to get a run. Not enough won't stick. So I'm hoping that it works. Okay, let's go for our back here. Looks like I had just enough. I was hoping for a little extra to see if this would make good soap dough. Okay, there's how I'm going to do those. I don't like that point. There we go. Okay, there's the front. Here's the back. And when I get ready to do the eyes, I will be bringing you back to video that. Okay, I had enough to put in here, and I've got it wrapped, so I can try this for soap dough just to see if it makes a good soap dough or not. And I did put me some sparkles on those unicorn soaps. Okay, I'm going to show you what I'm doing right now. I just used this, and so far what I've done, if you can see, I don't know if you can see it. See the eye shape with the little eyelashes? And then I will try to add the color to that. But all I'm doing is simply holding it like so, and using my, this is a nut picker, so I'm just using that. You could use a knife or whatever you might have. And then I'm using this way to just kind of remove the soap that I'm actually trying to cut away. Like so. And then I'll come over here to do the next one. Now you could do this different ways. You could actually pipe the eyes on there, lashes. You could leave them just cut like this. You don't have to add color. Just kind of imprinted into the soap as of right now. If you can see that, hopefully so. Let's see if I can see my little eyelashes there. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of them that way, and then I'll show you how I decide to add color. Okay, here's what I've come up with. You can see the little eyes, and all I decided to do was use some activated charcoal. I didn't mix any alcohol with it. You could very well mix alcohol with it and do it that way, with whatever color you choose to use for your eyes. All I done was use dry activated charcoal, and I just took my little paintbrush like this, a little fine tip, and let's see, let me get a hold of one. Yeah, it's still wet. It's not wet, but it's not set up wonderfully. Okay, so I'm having to be careful holding them. But then I just get some of my charcoal on here, like so. If you can see what I'm doing, hopefully you can. And if it gets outside of that, I've just been blowing it. As long as you don't rub it, it'll tend to blow off for the most part. But yeah, you can use some like 91% rubbing alcohol, and very easily mix that with your color that you choose to do, and just use a paintbrush or something to insert it inside that crease. And you don't even have to put the crease, but that gives me, you know, something to go by. But there you go. That's the way I'm going to do them. Okay, and this is the soap dough that well, it was actually the piping where I did the unicorn soap, and I had the leftovers, so I decided to see if it would make soap dough. So we're going to find out just how it does. Okay. Find out if it's pretty moldable. And it feels like so. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to get this camera where you can see. I actually like the feel of it. It's a little bit wet, but if you put some cornstarch or something on there, I don't think it's going to be bad at all. Let's see. A little cracking around the edge, but not horrible. Needs some working. Pretty and white. Smells good. And this is a new recipe. This is one that I just made in order to pipe the tops and for my unicorn soap. I think if you used a little cornstarch with that, it might be perfect actually. Work it a little bit. I actually have a plan for some white, but I'll also need some other colors too for what I'm planning. So I may have to make up some more soap dough. But it is a little sticky. See? On my hands. Just a bit sticky. So, I'm thinking maybe I could have went with less water percentage in my recipe because I was making white. If I was to do this over for soap dough, I think I would go with a lower percentage of water to my recipe because my TD I mix with water, so there I'm going to be getting more water in the recipe than I feel like it needs. But I thought I would just throw this in here and show you since I did it on the video. Okay, if you've watched the video, and I mentioned at the beginning of the video I would have a surprise at the end of the video. Well, probably maybe showing how I hook the bangs on helps somebody. And if you can see, they have hardened. They are on there. They're not going anywhere. The tails, they are on there. Or not the tail, the mane. The back part is on there. It's not going anywhere. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give the recipe away. Now, the soap dough, I have already gave the recipe away. I've already showed how I use the recipe. I have actually got a video. If you haven't checked it out, it's in my modeling soap playlist. It's named Modeling Soap on my YouTube channel. I actually show you how I make my horns, how I make my ears. Now you could very well use melt and pour if you want to and buy you a mold and do it that way. I prefer to do them this way and have different, you know, make it unique. But that recipe is for 1 pound, a 1 pound batch. And the one that I liked was recipe number 1 that I did. And I did give that out. Like I said, I've got a video for that too if you'd like to check that out. But you'll need 172 grams of water, which if you want to, you could work with that and change it. But do use soap calc to do so. And 64 grams of lye, and again that's 172 grams of water and 64 grams of lye. I did not add any fragrance oil to this recipe whenever I done it. So you'll have to go into soap calc and figure out your fragrance oil. But get along with the recipe, we have castor oil at 5% of my total oils, 23 grams. Then we have coconut oil, and that's the 76 degree at 91 grams, 20% of my oils. Now you can find most of these ingredients, the coconut oil you can find at Walmart. Castor oil you can even find at Walmart. Now the cocoa butter is 23 grams at 5%. And you know, I order that. I order my castor. Now coconut I can pick up at Walmart. And then again, that is cocoa butter at 23 grams, 5%. And then we have lard, 227 grams at 50% of my total oils. And the lard you can find at Walmart. The Manteca works really well. Makes some good soap. Palm oil, 91 grams, 20% of my total oils. The palm oil I do order. So then again, that is 172 grams of water, 64 grams of lye, 23 grams of castor oil, 91 grams of coconut oil, 23 grams of cocoa butter, 227 grams of lard, 91 grams of palm oil. Now, that is for the soap dough. Then you will need to prepare your soap dough correctly. If you do not know how to do that, I also have a video showing how actually showing me making this soap dough recipe and preparing it, because there is steps that I take. Okay, and now getting along with our recipes. Okay, for the body of the soap, that is the bar itself. I used a 4-pound batch, cold process, and my soap dough was cold process. You'll need 635 grams of water. You'll need 246 grams of lye. Fragrance oil, 57 grams. Castor oil, 14% of the recipe, 254 grams. Coconut oil, 18% of the recipe, 327 grams. Lard, 51% of the recipe, 925 grams. Olive oil, 4.5% of your recipe, 82 grams. Palm oil, 10% of your recipe, 181 grams. Stearic acid, 0.5%, 9 grams. Palm kernel flakes, 2%, 36 grams. Now to my lye solution, and I do show in this video how I mix that lye solution. But to my lye solution, I add 4 teaspoons of sodium lactate, 4 teaspoons of sugar, and then I add a little bit of pearl powder. I do not measure that. I add a little bit of hydrolyzed silk powder. Then again, I do not measure that. Not to a T. I eyeball it. So, you know, if I was going to give you a guess on that, I would say an 1/8 to a 1/4 of a teaspoon of pearl powder and an 1/8 to a 1/4 of a teaspoon of hydrolyzed silk powder. And then I also add silk fibers. Now there's a certain way I add my pearl powder and my hydrolyzed silk powder and my sugar. I do not add it straight to my lye solution, and I showed that in the video. Okay, and I do use silk fibers also. Okay, for colorants, we used, for just the bar, we used Neon Pink from TKB Trading. Nurture soap colors, we use titanium dioxide. That was for this part, the piping. And then we used sunshine yellow for our swirls, neon orange, neon pink, and then we topped it off with a little intergalactic sparkles. Okay, and then we used a tall and skinny mold from Bulk Apothecary. I piped the top as you've seen. We did swirl it. Now we used a swirling tool that my husband made me, but you could use a hanger tool or a gear tie tool. Okay, and this recipe I did run through soap calc. I always run through soap calc if I give them out. The hardness was 44, clean 14, the cleansing was 14, conditioning 51, bubbly 27, creamy 42, iodine 52, INS was 155. Now I'm going to tell you the recipe one more time, and this is for the bar part. Water, 635 grams. Lye, 246 grams. Fragrance oil, 57 grams. Castor oil, 254 grams. Coconut oil, 327 grams. Lard, 925 grams. Olive oil, 82 grams. Palm oil, 181 grams. Stearic acid, 9 grams. Palm kernel flakes, 36 grams. And then to your lye solution, 4 teaspoons of sodium lactate, 4 teaspoons of sugar, pearl powder, 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon, hydrolyzed silk, 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon, silk fibers, colorants, neon pink from TKB, nurture soap colorants are the TD, which is the titanium dioxide mixed with water, sunshine yellow, neon orange, neon pink, and topped with a little intergalactic sparkles. Okay, then for our actual bangs and the mane down the back, I used a different recipe. I did not use the same recipe. I piped this the next day, and I showed in the video how I got that to stay on. Okay, and the recipe for that piping on the bangs and the mane on the back is, well, first of all, I need to tell you, on that last recipe for this bar, I used a percentage of water at 35%. I superfatted at 8%, so I forgot to throw that in there. And on my soap dough, I'm not even sure, so I can't even give you that, but I would go with like 35% water, and probably for soap dough, probably 5 or 6% superfat. You could go higher if you want to. Okay, the recipe for the mane and the bangs, and that too is a percentage of water at 35%, superfat 7%. Okay, now water was 159 grams, lye 62 grams, fragrance oil 14 grams. This is only for a pound batch. Castor oil 13%, 59 grams. Cocoa butter 14.10%, 64 grams. Coconut oil 18%, 82 grams. Olive oil 6%, 27 grams. Palm oil 8%, 36 grams. Lard 38.9%, 176 grams. Palm kernel flakes 2%, 9 grams. And to the lye solution, I did add silk fibers and 1 teaspoon of sodium lactate. The hardness is 46, cleanliness 14, conditioning 49, bubbly 26, creamy 44, iodine 50, and INS was 157. So I hope that you will make your own soap. And the eyeballs, like I said, the little eyes and the lashes is just activated charcoal. And I showed how I done that in the video. But if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more like this, do click subscribe. Have a nice day and happy soaping.